Now it's recording. So I want to welcome Nikki to your favorite PO's channel, y'all. She is doing some amazing work in criminal justice reform, and I saw her on Felon to Phenomenal podcast. Shout out to Felon to Phenomenal, my girl over there holding it down. So Nikki, welcome. Tell us a little bit about your background. Like let my viewers know what's your background with being in the system.
Well, I'm directly impacted both ways through my mom going to jail, and then also my sister, who was a former police officer, eventually being actually went to jail. She went to prison. Um, and for myself, I've been locked up 3 times. The first time I was locked up, I was at a club. I was young, drinking, and that situation led to me being locked up. I only did like 1 day there, but then I got deferred adjudication, and I violated those orders, or that probation period. So I ended up going to jail a second time, and then the third time I was arrested at a protest, and I went to jail for that. So that's the extent of me being involved in the system.
Now, I want to ask you a little bit about your experience with being on probation, okay? Because I talked a lot about that on my platform. How it could be helpful to some people and how sometimes it's not so helpful. So, in your experience, do you feel like being on probation was a hindrance, or do you feel like it helped, or was it just a personal thing that you were going through to whereas you couldn't complete it or didn't complete it successfully?
I think it was a hindrance. I don't think it helps people because simply because of the money that people have to spend out at already. I already didn't have any money, so when I had to spend that money out every month, it just made things harder for me. And then requiring people to do community service, it wasn't something that actually would involve get a person involved in the community. It was more so, because you did this, here is your punishment. And then also I had to take anger management classes, and that didn't help at all. There was actually the guy ended the class early. There was no real work on just personal development. And one white guy that was in the class, he told me that he could pay his way out, and he actually never showed up to class after that again. So I guess he did pay his way out. So
Wow, I have never heard that one after all my years of being a PO. Wow. So,
yep.
okay, that was a little bit of the negative, I guess, or the problematic side of it. If there was one thing that you would say that could help make it better as far as being on probation, what is like one thing that you think could change an offender or change somebody on probation to do something better?
I think that people should be asked what are their interests, and given a list of different options that they have available, where as far as like community service, people should be able to pick where they want to do that community service, and then also be offered an opportunity to do internship where it's paid. I think that requiring people to pay for their mistakes, like a physical payment, I think that that should be something that's completely taken out.
Wow, I like the way you think. I feel like I'm right on board with you as far as having people pay to quote unquote like literally monetarily pay. I don't think that's helpful at all.
Hmm.
So let's talk about what you're doing now. You mentioned that you were arrested at a protest. So give the people a little bit of background about that situation.
We were out there protesting against Kim Og. I was working with the family at that time. The Melanie Young, her brother was hung in the Harris County Jail, um, and we didn't know. They told us that he hung himself, but it was impossible for him to hang himself. Just looking at his weight and just the size of the bed. So They said he hung himself, and we were demanding answers, and we tried to schedule meetings to meet with Kim Og, and she would never, respond to our requests. So we went down there to protest the jail system, the injustices at the jail system, and also protest the fact that we never was able to reach Kim Og, or get any type of response from her on that. So when we were out there, we were chanting, just peacefully protesting. And so we walked up to the door where she was at, outside, to the building. And so they told us that we had 5 seconds to move, and they was counting 5, 4, 3, 2, and I didn't move, and looked at everybody else was kind of walking back a little bit. And so Melanie Young's, it was her husband, he put his arm around me. And as soon as he put his arm around me to try to, get me to move, that's when the officers grabbed me, and they arrested me.
Oh my God. What was your initial reaction when all of that was happening?
I couldn't believe it. I was in a state of shock. What I was hoping that they would just like arrest me, and then wait till things kind of calm down, and I'm thinking that they would eventually let me go, and that never happened. So I was really upset by that, because peacefully protesting, locking people up for that. And the very next day there was another protest that they did about police injustice. I don't remember what specifically they were protesting for, but I know that they had actually went up into that building, and they were not arrested, but they went. The second group went as a group, and they didn't get arrested. So um, yeah.
So
So
what did they actually charge you with, and did those charges stick, or did they drop the charges?
they charged me with interfering with the street highway. It was some kind of ridiculous charge that didn't have anything to do with what with what happened with the protest. It was something about it was like on a highway or something, like interfering on a highway. Yeah.
Wow.
So when I went to yeah, and I went before a black judge, and he was a man, and he said that they shouldn't have locked you up for this. And he said this charge is missed. And yeah, that's basically what happened. He even himself, yes, he himself said that it was ridiculous. He said that's ridiculous that you're locked up for this. He said they shouldn't have locked you up for this. And he said your charge is dismissed.
Oh my gosh. Now, Nikki, tell us, how did you even, just rewinding a little bit, how did you even get into this line of protesting and criminal justice reform and speaking out for what you believe in? How did you get into that arena?
Well, since I was 17, I began like studying online. I used to look at YouTube videos, and that's how I learned a lot about what was going on outside, just what I seen, and what I was experiencing, and I was able to make sense of what I was experiencing through seeing it in a systemic way. So that's when I first became just conscious and wanted to do something about the problem. And my first protest was with Texas Advocates for Justice, and we went to the Capitol um, in Austin, and I think it was 2016. We went there, and so I read a poem there, and that was my very first just protest that I did. So that's how I got involved, and from there, I started working with families that was whose loved ones they lost to police murders.
Oh, good. And you still currently, to this day, do work with Texas Justice Advocates, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
So let the people know, like, how, if they want to join in the conversation, join in the mission, how can they do that?
They can do that by emailing me at nlewellen@grassrootsleadership.org, and that's NLUELLEN at grassrootsleadership.org.
Oh, that is awesome, awesome, awesome stuff. Now tell me, when going back to, you said your mom was in the system as well, right? As far as the prison system. Okay, how is she doing today?
Yeah, she's actually a member of Texas Advocates for Justice, and we did jail canvassing. We've been canvassing at the jails, telling people, what we're about, informing people about, cite and release, our campaign, and so she's right with it, and when people go have those experiences in the system and they realize that they're not the only one, that it's a systemic issue, um, they're more prompt to want to act and do something about it because they know they're not alone. And then they also know that they have a voice to make things better. And I think by people getting involved with that, I think that reduces recidivism because, they're doing something positive and they're making a positive change.
Now you did mention the site and release mission. Like, tell us a little bit more about the site and release.
So, cite and release is a policy that was adopted by the Houston Police, by the mayor, and also it's adopted by Harris. It's adopted by Harris County. And what this policy does is, if somebody is pulled over for a misdemeanor A or B offense, then they're able to be cited and released. The issue with that is the data on cite and release has not been made available to the public in a fashion where the information is updated. And that's on the county side and the city side. But what we're trying to find out is how often are they using cite and release. So instead of jails being overcrowded, with people with low level offenses, these offenses could have been cited, and and folks could be released and not just thrown in jail.
Oh, so that would include them leaving from the scene of the citation, not even having to go to the jail.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Oh, okay. You know what? I had no idea about that. I feel like that would be very helpful because there are a lot of people who get arrested for this little crimes. Like, y'all wasting our time and filling these jails up, and people are getting traumatized by this whole experience of being arrested for something so small. And half the
Exactly.
time, look, oh my gosh, I don't even want to get into that. That's a whole nother topic. Okay, so tell us a little bit about, like, what's your next mission as far as working with criminal justice reform? What's next on
Um,
the agenda for you?
Next on the agenda for me is to continue to educate the public on policies that are out there that we can push to have them enforced. So that's just informing people, and then also going to commissioner's court and urging them to do something about this problem, and taking the power also out of the city officials' hands and state officials' hands, and actually working as a community to build up programs where it's mental health services, where it's art programs for children, and educational, programs for adults and children. So it's what we're doing is, as we're fighting against the system, the plan is to also build a community outside of the system where we support and we help each other, and help each other with resources, and just have basic peer support that we need.
Oh, absolutely. I feel like a lot of people, when they get out of jail, so to speak, sometimes you don't have that support system. And if you did, that would make a world of a difference as far
Mhm.
as how you get reacclimated to being in society. Oh, yeah, that is amazing. See, that's why I was so inspired when I saw you on that podcast. Like, you were doing some amazing things out here. I just want to say thank you. Thank you for the work that you're doing, that you're putting in. I know it's coming from a genuine place, and we need more people like you. So I'm so glad that you agreed to show up for me on my show. Thank you.
Thank you for
I really
inviting me.
appreciate it. Okay, so outside of criminal justice reform, like, what are you doing, like, personally, professionally for work, or is this what you're doing?
Yes, this is what I'm doing. I also do theater. So I have my own film and theater company. And so I do webisodes, stage plays, and it's all talking about this issue of whether it's police brutality, gentrification. We also talk about colorism, and it's addressing it in various ways through, stage plays, the short films, documentaries, and also doing poetry events as well. So I'm an artist, first, but I always include, something that's happening, in society in my art.
Wow, that is amazing. I'm like in awe of you right now. That is amazing. I feel like where can we see these short films and everything that you have going on?
You can see it at Nikki L Films and Theater on YouTube. So all of my webisodes are up there. My short films are up there. My stage plays, all of my stage plays aren't up there, but at least the films that I've been doing and the documentaries that I've been doing, they're all up there as well.
Okay, you guys, I will link all of her information in the description. So don't worry, y'all can check her out. Everything will be linked in the description. Okay, so make sure y'all check her out. I'm sure it'll be phenomenal. Okay,
Thank
so I
you.
asked you about what's going on personally because on my channel, my YouTube channel, I like to highlight the fact that, yeah, you may have gone through probation or parole, but you can still do positive things afterwards. So the fact that you have all these amazing things going on for you and you're helping other people and, just not yourself, that goes to show that that's not going to break you down. It doesn't have to define you. So do you feel like a person who's labeled as a felon, do you feel like things are harder for them once they get that label? And what would you say to that person who's feeling like, oh, I can't do anything because I have this criminal record now?
Definitely. When people are labeled as a felon, it's hard for them to get a job. It's hard for them to be reacclimated into society. It's a lot of mental trauma that people go through. It's also reliving, they have to relive those experiences when they tell people about their story, and when people hear about it, how those people treat them and respond. So it's almost like they feel outcasted. There's a label thrown on them, and then there's a shame, and there's outcast. um and if somebody is going through that, what I recommend them to do is to find what they're passionate about and to follow that, because once they find their passion and they're living their passion, then eventually what they need comes. If they need the help, the peer support, that comes. If they need money, that comes. Those opportunities and doors start to open up. So I would definitely encourage them not to give up, but I would also encourage them to seek out organizations like Texas Advocates for Justice. They can reach out to us if they need any type of support, because while we might not be able to do everything, we have enough resources and we have enough connections to where we can link them up with groups who can help them.
And again, y'all, that's Texas Advocates for Justice. That will also be linked in the description, you guys. That is a very big thing, a lack of resources. And as far as on my side of things, being a probation officer in the past, that was a big issue, a lack of resources. It's like, yeah, you have all these people on your caseload that you're supervising, but there's not enough places to refer them to when they need help. So in my
Exactly.
almost 5 years of doing that job, I had never heard of Texas Advocates for Justice. So this is
Wow.
mind blowing to me.
Wow.
How do you guys promote, like Advocates for Justice? How do you promote what you're doing in the mission?
We go out and we canvas at the jails, we canvas at the schools in TSU, and we also go into the communities. We have our office in Fifth Ward, and so we go and we talk to the community and pass out flyers and let them know what we're about. And we also have community meetings and events at the office specifically, just so people in the neighborhood, can know who we are and the resources that we offer people. So it's just, we spread it through word of mouth, and we also do it through social media as well.
Okay, that's just what I was about to ask you. Is there a social media presence for the mission? Because I haven't seen it. So let the people know what it is where they can follow.
Yes, you all can check us out at Texas Advocates for Justice on Facebook and also on Instagram. And then also on Facebook, you can go to Texas Advocates for Justice dash Houston. And then that'll be specifically just us.
Wow. Okay. Thank you so much. And a last and final word. Okay. I want you to tell the people your best piece of advice for how do I say this? How do I say this? I'm trying to gather my thoughts. Tell the people your best piece of advice for advocating for justice outside. Like if they don't live in Houston, you know what I'm saying? How can they just do that from their home? What would you recommend? Because some people they're not able to get out and go protest like physically. So what can they do from home to help the cause?
What they can do from home is there's various ways to advocate. If there's groups that they find interesting, they can share their content and materials. Also too, there is right now, because of COVID, there's a lot of events that's happening online where they can plug themselves into. There's a lot of meetings that's are, that's occurring online that they can attend. So, and whichever area they live in, I would encourage them to, go through Facebook and type in a search, just type in the word advocate, or type in activist organizations, in my area. Through Do that through Facebook, do it through Google, and that's how you can link yourself with those organizations. um Also, as well, if they would like to start something on their own, if they're wanting to do something that's criminal justice related by going inside the system and doing it that way, they can go and look at their county's page and find that data, on how many people are being murdered by the police. That data should be available on at their city council website, at their city's website. So it'll be just like if they lived in Dallas, the city of Dallas, and type that in and go there. So there's multiple ways, where they can advocate. They can speak at their city council meetings that they have. They can call in online. They can also go to commissioner's court and they can look at the agenda of what they're talking about. They could also go there and download the budget to find out what are these officials spending their money on. Are they spending money on resources for the community, or are they spending their money on locking more people up? So there's all of this information that they can just, Google and go online to find. If they want to deal with things inside of the system and protest against something, they can call and give a speech. And they can also do things in their own way, if they're interested in doing something with the arts, start doing some art and, put it online and share it out with folks to, get people engaged and get that conversation going. So it's various ways, because a lot of people think that advocacy involves just, protesting and passing out flyers and, you know uh going to city council, and really advocacy involves, taking care of children, calling people and making sure that people are okay, just checking in with people. So that's a lot of advocacy, is, deeper than just one or two things. It's multiple things.
Oh, thank you for dropping that knowledge. Thank you so much. Because a lot of people don't know that. And a lot of things you're teaching me today. And I'm so blessed and so grateful that you're here to teach me because I'm trying to get more and do more. I always want to do more. We always want to help more in more than one way. You know what I'm saying? So I want to thank you again, guys. Remember, all the information will be linked in the description box below. I want to thank you, Nikki.
Thank you.
And let me sign out. Any last words? You good?
I just want to tell you that it's an honor for me to be here, and thank you for having me. And I really appreciate this opportunity.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Nikki. Peace out, y'all.
Peace.